floss tube. It's Lisa here from Shady Tree Stitches, and welcome to my floss tube. This is where I show my journey of my cross stitching progress for the week. Try and do it weekly, and it is currently Sunday the 22nd of March 2020. So it's quite an interesting time in the world at the moment with this COVID-19 virus, and one thing I'm really appreciating is having a stitching hobby. It's really helpful for lessening anxiety, as well as having something to do when one is going to get stuck at home. Currently in Australia, we are just on social distancing. Schools aren't closed, and the only problem we have is that you can't buy any toilet paper anywhere because there are stupid people hoarding things, and that is really frustrating. Anyway, enough of the misery. Let's get on to the fun stuff. I have not done as much stitching this week as I would like to because I've had a lot of other things to do. As with last video, I'm going to leave my business related things to the end of the video, so if you're not interested in any of that, you can switch off at that point, and I will share all that with you later. So I have done, since my last video, 3,770 stitches, and I have done that on a number of different projects to really finalize all the work I had to do for March. And in all honesty, because of the monthly ones, I don't write down where I did what. So I may be repeating myself, and I do apologize if that's the case. So I did a lot of things for semi-sanes around the world, Ireland. And so a lot of the things I worked on were for that. In particular, my We Are Humans, which I haven't even got out to show you. So that's very bad of me. I don't even know where that is. All right, I will find that. And then I also had to start a new piece with the lighthouse. So that sort of took the focus point of my homework for the week. I had to finish watching the films for Magical Stitches for the weekly and the monthly. And I think that was about all. Yeah, so what did I stitch on? These are just next to me in no particular order. I did work on my Modern Folk Embroidery Family Patchwork Sampler. So at the start of the week it looked like this, and this one was the one that I used for my daily 30 during the week, as well as F for Semi-Sane's Alphabet Soup, because family patchwork sampler starts with F. So I did about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 600 stitches on it. Isn't it looking stunning? I am so in love with these Silks for You silks. They are absolutely gorgeous. I used this, I know, as well for something that was dyed green. Look at those beautiful greens. I'll zoom in so you can see them. Greens, greys, and aquas. So really happy with how this is going. I'm way behind, but that's all right. So that's going to continue to be my daily 30 project this week. Really happy with how that's going. Next one I did a lot of work on was my E is for Esky, which is a Paddock Lane design. And I worked on this one because I'm not actually sure why. I know I double dipped it for something in shells. So previously it was looking like this. And I know I did 815 stitches on it yesterday. So there you go, you can see it's almost done. So I'm really pleased with how these little ones are going. My plan is to do a whole alphabet series for Australian terms, and then I'm going to stitch them together into a flip alphabet book, which will be really cute. So yes, it does have an E for emu there too, but it's officially E for Esky. That's the Esky there, where you get your cold drinks from. So hopefully I can get that finished very soon. I did work on my Little House Neighborhood. Just for those who don't know it, that's what it looks like. And the Little House Neighborhood I did because it had vines around the edge. So I did, looks like I just did 316 stitches. Previously it was looking like this. And when I hold it up, you'll be able to see that basically I finished the first house that I was working on, and I've started to come over here and started working on the blue house. 316 stitches over here. So it's progressing, although it's going to go away for the moment, just for a little while. So the Little House neighbourhood, progressing nicely too. Now I mentioned I had to do Tybee Island Lighthouse, 1,000 stitches in a piece with a lighthouse, and I did have a series that I bought from Americana that I wanted to do. So this one is an Eric Dowdle painting. So previously it looked like this. If you recall, it looked like a butcher's knife and someone was going to stab you. And after I finished my 1,000 stitches on it, which I'd done a few last week, I know, now it looks like one of those ice creams. Did you ever have those ice creams that had 2 different colours on them? Growing up, I remember having them. And at the moment, this lighthouse looks like one of those ice creams in a little stick. Can you imagine it? Yum. So my lighthouse now has over 1,000 stitches. And it's, well, as I said, looking like an ice cream rather than a knife. Hold it that way, it still looks a bit like a knife. It'll change as we progress. I also, for homework, had to do something for Shell's group that was something to do with specifically Ireland. Now, I did I did a new start for this, and thanks to Vicky from Reading and Stitching. I'll quickly show you books. It's a cake, March cake, and it's a free series that you can get from her Facebook group. And I did 314 stitches on that to get it started. I was really happy with how it looks. Really like the fabric I dyed. Only problem is it's 25 count. Now we've had this discussion before, people. I know I should remember, but I didn't. I can't do 25 count. I was hoping that because it was just a cute little cake, not a full coverage, I could, but I just found it really hard. So I have scrapped it after 300 and something stitches to do my homework. However, I really love this series. There's a cake for every month, and I love a good series. And just like my friend was saying in her floss tube, Gail Phillips, and thanks for the shout out, Gail, I really appreciate it. You should watch her. She does some fantastic pieces. She's from southern New South Wales, and she's a lovely lady. So she said, you know, I love good series. I do too. So I've decided that I'm going to use this piece of fabric. Alright, now this one I think is from Crafty Leanie. It's 28 count, called Margarita. You can probably see a bit better there. See, it's got like slight green speckles as well as yellow. And I think that's going to be a beautiful backdrop for all my cakes. So I am going to continue with the cakes. I'll restart them. And I'm going to change to that piece of fabric. And I also wanted to point out, in this one, I'm finally getting to use my beautiful Sassy Devils pouch. Nice and bright and happy. We need nice and bright and happy at the moment, people, don't we? So there we are. So thank you to the Sassy Devils for that beautiful pouch that they gave me a little while ago for the cakes. So I also stitched, well, my We Are Humans. I really don't know where I put it and why it's not nearby. I changed this bag. That's what's confusing, I think. Anyway, my We Are Humans previously looked like this. And I found it. So I'm going to pause you and get it. Okay, I was just sitting behind the computer monitor, out of it. So after my 433 stitches, now looks like this. So that is the end of the second section. I've got one little plane to do here, a couple of fireworks, and then we're into the last section, which is super exciting because I've been really loving this, but it's time for it to get finished. So I need to find an opportunity to keep stitching on this. But how cool is that? It's got Paras, a little guy in a car. He looks like he has no top of his head at the moment because he doesn't. But that's okay. Hasn't been off with his head. No, I just haven't stitched it on. So that's where my We Are Humans are. So it will be continuing sometime in the near future. Now, the next thing I stitched on was a new start. It is a year of starts. And I totally understand that for some people that's way overwhelming, and people are starting to talk about their mania, and other people are starting to talk about having a coronavirus lockdown mania. So everyone do what you want to do, seriously. But I will encourage you to step outside your comfort zone just a little, because if I had not done that, I would not have joined all the groups and I would not be having so much fun. It gives me purpose. I was always a good student at school, and being a teacher, I guess it follows, I like to follow the rules. So when homework is set, I have to do it. That's just the way I am. But I tell myself it's been set, I need to do it. And I just make the time to do it and I get it done. And sometimes I go above and beyond, but mostly I just get it done. I'm busy because I do manage the Boardwalk Resort in School of Magical Stitches and help out Sammy J and Megan May with the virtual stitches often. But yeah, we find time. So I did a new start. And my new start is Little House Needleworks Gardening. Now, there's two reasons for starting this. One is it's going to be my G for gardening for the alphabet soup, starting on the 24th, so I'm not there yet. But I also needed to stitch on something for Shell's homework this week. And it fitted right in. I don't even know what I'm doing yet because I haven't done the homework video yet. Oh yeah, she wanted something you had changed from the design. So with this one, I actually have changed all the threads. So I'm not using what's called for, and I'm using a little assortment of threads that I have found. So it's on a piece of my own hand-dyed Ada. It's a 16 count Ada, and I love it. You can't really see the beautiful colors in the screen. It's got a bit more greens and yellows. Comes out looking a lot grayer. You can see a bit more there. It's hard to see. Anyway, I really like it. So I'm doing this, as you can see, it's quite long. It's a series of 4 girls: gardening, reading, baking, and I think quilting. I've got 4 of them anyway, so I'm putting them into one little set. So really enjoyed working on that. All of that was what I did last night, which was 340 stitches. So that is one that's going to be re-looked at this week, quite excitedly. And I think that is what I've worked on. So as I said, that came to 3,770 stitches since my last video. I'm about to start doing my stitching for the day. It's 4:16 in the afternoon. It's been a day, it's been a week. But I need to sit down and do some. It's what makes me happy. And that's what I was saying before, people, just do what makes you happy. We've had a year of starts, and that's been good for me because I didn't have a lot of whips. I wanted to. I did Mania last year. As I said, I started 31 pieces. Well, 6 of them were already carryover, but from earlier than May. But of those pieces, you'll see in May what's left. Of course, my plan for Mania is Blimey Cat, try and work on the pieces that were for Mania last year. But I did 33 finishes last year. So I don't feel bad about starting new ones. And obviously with the business starting, I've got to do model stitching, and that is something that I need to do that doesn't really count. I count them as finishes, but I can't really count them as starts. So we've already decided in Virtual Stitches, a couple of us, that we've had a year of starts this year, which means we can start something whenever we want. I've been mostly doing 2 or 3 a month, and in particular the 29th of each month is the official start date. And I have a very, very special one to start this month, but I'll get to that in a minute when I talk business. And I don't feel guilty about it. I'll get them started and I'll enjoy stitching on them. But next year, we're thinking about having a competition, and we're going to have a year of no starts. It won't last the whole year, we know that, we're realistic. But a couple of us who are going to do it, we're thinking we might actually make it a competition where we put a bit of money in, and then whoever lasts the longest without starting a new piece, they win the money. They can spend it on haul. So that's a good incentive. We all like to get a bit of extra stitching haul. So that's my plan, and I feel really good knowing that that's coming. So as the months progress, you'll hear more plans about that, but keep your ears open. On that, Virtual Stitches is open again. However, we are being very security conscious. So you do need to make sure if you apply to join Virtual Stitches that A, you want to jump online and talk to us and stitch, because that's what it's about. And 2, that you answer all the security questions. It helps you to actually know someone who's in the group so that they can let the admins know, oh yeah, I know Betty. So that would be really good. But we'd love to see you. In particular, I'd love to see more Aussies or people who are in Europe who like to stitch in their mornings. That's in my evening time. And that would be good. Don't worry, it's not a virus, just the usual Virtual Stitches cough. So that's what I've been doing. I won a little bit of haul. I won something. I bought some fabric. Well, I guess that means I got 2 bits of haul. I got some more of those multicolored little snippets from S2E4 and they arrived. And with them I won a pattern, and I won this beautiful Fairy Treasures from Mirabilia. So I'm not sure what I'll do with her yet, but I'll add her to my collection and see what happens. So thank you very much, S2E4, for having a giveaway and that I won. That's really cool. Everyone loves winning prizes. Okay, so that is basically the end of my stitching for the week. My plans are to work on my homework. It's been released so I can actually talk about it. Thank goodness for that. Usually I film before I can say anything. So for this week, to finish off the month, I've done all my monthlies. Everything's done. Don't have to touch monthlies for either Shell's Group or for Magical Stitches. I have to do 1,000 stitches on a piece that is my Mount Everest. And I'm going to do my Village of Hawk Run Hollow because it's huge and it's 40 count. So 1,000 stitches on my Hawk Run Hollow should get me a fair way into the next block, which is my March block, because I'm way behind. I've got to finish March block this week. Shell's Group, remember closed group, you can't get into it, is John Henry, someone who did things in America. And you have to do something that involves something that would obstruct a tunnel. So my Hawk Run Hollow has got water in the mill, and I think that water would obstruct you building a tunnel through there because it's going to flood. The one I've almost completed, that's why I started doing it, my E for Esky. So I've done 800 on that now. So I've doubled that up, create your own adventure. Thing I've changed from the design is gardening. And then I've got to do something that I think would make a good postage stamp. And I'm thinking maybe one of my Quakers would be good for that. And I'm really pleased with this one, the bonus. Thank you, Shell. Finally, a bonus I can do is something with a train. So I'm going to work on my Hogwarts SAL. In fact, I might even do the train at the top because I'm way behind on that too. And we'll work on doing the train. So thank you for that bonus. So they're my plans for this week. And yeah, just try and get as much stitching as I can amongst the chaos. Try and find my little happy place and calmness. So thank you for joining me. If you're interested in hearing about my stitching, feel free to go now. But if you're interested in hearing about any of my Paddock Lane Designs things, then stay tuned for just another minute. I don't have a lot to say. Thank you so much to people who've started to buy the patterns. And in particular, I'm really excited to announce that I have designed a piece called Lest We Forget for Anzac Day. Here in Australia and New Zealand, we remember our fallen heroes of the armed forces during the wars on Anzac Day. It's one of our most important days here in the Australian culture, and unfortunately due to this virus it's been cancelled. Now I normally would get up, go and play at a dawn service, go and do a march down the street, play another remembrance service, and all of it's been cancelled. So I am going to join the people who think it's a great idea at 6 o'clock in the morning to go and stand on your driveway to pay our respects. I will be doing that, and in fact I most likely will be crazy and take my euphonium out with me and play the last post so that people in the neighbourhood can at least listen to the last post. I know it's not a bugle, but I can't play a bugle, it's too small. I have fat lips. Fat lips play big instruments, not little instruments. But you know, among the musicians community, we've been spreading the word that it'd be nice to hear the last post at dawn. So that's what I plan to do. And then I thought, well, one of my friends, Harriet, hi Harriet, she asked me if I could design a piece for Anzac Day. And I thought, yes, we need to do that because we can't celebrate our normal way. So we decided to start a SAL. So it's a Lest We Forget SAL, hashtag, I'll put it below. And to do it, all you need to do is to jump onto my Paddock Lane's Designs Facebook page or Etsy page, grab a copy of the pattern. It'll fit onto a fat quarter. I'm actually doing some dyeing today for some fabrics that might suit it really well. And yeah, stitch it. For the stitch along, because the RSL are always in need of funds, I am going to donate $5 from every person who completes it during the stitch along, which is starting on the 29th of March, going through to Anzac Day. So if you can actually get it stitched in that month, then I will donate $5 to the RSL on your behalf, so that we can give back to the people who did so much for us in the past. So if you're interested, here's what it looks like. As you can see, it's got the typical silhouette of the bugler. I put him in an army uniform with the crest of the rising sun on his hat badge, and you can see that he is standing in a field of poppies. It's a really easy stitch, the top half with the Lest We Forget and the Ode. It's all in just straight stitches, normal stitches, block colour. And when you get to the poppies though, there's about 4 different colours of red in those poppies. So they're still easy, but there's a lot more work in the poppies than in the top half of the pattern. I'm really, really excited to see what people do, what fabric they choose to do it on. I'm really looking forward to it. So there is a group, I have a Paddock Lanes design group, and it has an event in it called the SAL, the Lest We Forget SAL, or Anzac SAL. So please, if you want to stitch it with us, jump into that group, you know, put your fabric there, let's see what you're going to do, and put your progress there as we go, so that we can all keep each other inspired and see how many wonderful people we can stitch. You know, everyone puts up Christmas decorations. Why not an Anzac one? It's one of the things when I started designing I thought there was a lacking of, is things to do with Australian patriotism. So I thought I'll design one. Anyway, hopefully you like it. If you're not sure where to find it or anything, then just, you know, message me. But as I said, my Paddock Lanes Design Facebook page or Facebook group is the best place to find it. Apart from that, I have been doing a lot more dyeing of fabric. They will be going up over the next few days. Different sizes. I'm just dyeing what I've got at the moment till I can get some standard fabric. But I would like to ask below, would you be more interested in an even weave or an aider? And would you prefer 14 count, 16 count, 18 count, or 28 or 32? So if you think you'd be interested, pop a comment below for me about what you think you'd like, because there is a shortage of dyers in Australia. I've discovered that I can post probably 2 pieces of fabric, depending on the size, for only $2.20 in a letter. So that's really good. But if you want to get quite a few, $9.80 for the parcel, for the registered parcel is the way to go. I'm trying to keep it to the minimum that I can. But you know, with jobs being so uncertain at the moment, and as a casual teacher, I don't have job security. I don't have job security anyway, but if they shut the schools, I've got no chance. So I'm hoping that, you know, doing the Paddock Lane design business now will be a good thing to take off. And I have a couple of other designs in the wings. Unfortunately, my laptop died, so I've got to work out how I'm going to do some more designs in the next week or so, but we'll just see. Maybe they can get it fixed fast and back to me. All right, well, thank you very much for spending some time with me. I look forward to seeing you next week, and until then, take care of yourself, stay safe, and happy stitching. Bye.